Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads it must converse is the channel. Thanks for coming by again. Philosophical Sci-Fi series is getting another video on the playlist today, exploring Ursula K. LeGuin's The Left Hand of Darkness. This is an amazing book. It is a sci-fi, for sure. What we have is a planet called Karhide that is known by the ecumen as winter, and the ecumen is a kind of, it doesn't serve to call them a governmental structure. They don't govern. What they do is facilitate communication and trade and just any kind of interaction between planets that are within its influence, right? So the ecumen has sent an emissary, an ambassador, to Karhide to bring them into the fold. And this ambassador, his name is Genley AI. Most of the book is called, his name is Genry, because the Karhiders cannot say an L in their native tongue. And what is talked about this book over and above anything else is the fact that the Karhiders, the native human beings, they are humans, but they are evolved in a different type of way than how we are as human beings. They don't have a gender. They become gendered when they go through a mating cycle. So maybe it's once a month, something like that. Then they will become gendered if they are in the presence of another Karhider who is going through that mating cycle. They call it Kemmer at the same time. And one will have a predisposition towards a certain gender, and then the other one will just reciprocate with the other gender, right? If somebody becomes a male sometime, then maybe some other times they might be female. So a Karhider may sire children as a male, but then they also might bear children as a female in the same lifetime. They have that kind of thing, and this is what people talk about this book most of the time. But what I want to do today is to jump into some of the philosophical ideas that are in this, what I think is, and basically what I think Ursula K. Le Guin is doing with this book, because there is some very cool ideas. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is the idea of the forecasters. Our ambassador, Genry AI, he has the ability to mind speak. So Genry is actually an evolved human being as well. He's not a human being the way that we are. He can telepathically communicate with other human beings. And he can teach human beings to do that. And he does teach one Karhider to do that. We'll get to that a little bit. And so he is actually alien to us, even though he is a human being, in the way that the Karhiders are alien to us by having a different attribute, right? Even though they are human beings as well. That's just how it is. But the Karhiders have an ability in their society that has evolved, and they have a group of people that are very religious, to for lack of a better word. It is a discipline, and it is structured. It is called foretelling, and to foretell the future. And it's not prediction, it's not prophecy necessarily. It's more like just being receptive to an answer. So what happens is our guy goes to a group of foretellers and asks a question. The group of foretellers is composed of a weaver, who is the main kind of leader, most adept in the group. His job is to maintain some kind of structure and to see patterns and then to ultimately grab the answer. He is surrounded by 8 other Karhiders, some of which are called zanies, and they are actually insane. It says that they that they live in multiple times. Maybe they're schizophrenic. And our ambassador Genley at some point says, "Well, why don't you cure them?" And somebody says, "Well, would you cure a singer of their voice?" This is something that is a positive, a net positive, not a negative. Even though, from an outside point of view, this being might be having a chaotic kind of life, there is in this book some kind of value placed on just a very alternate way of looking at reality. These zanies, at least 3, are part of the foreteller circle. Then there is some other just indigenous people. One is going to be a Karhider that is going through Kimmer, that is actively in the mating cycle. And with that, there is what they call a pervert on their world, which is a being, a Karhider, that actually stays one gender all the time by choice. That happening, the one that is in the circle that we meet is a male. So therefore, the Karhider that is going through this foretelling process becomes the female counterpart to that being within the circle, right? But they do not mate or anything like that. They just have that kind of tension going on in the circle, and the zanies are going kind of crazy, and we don't really know what they're doing. They're tapping the ground, they're laughing, this kind of thing. They are in silence, and then the indigenous people that are part of this circle, maybe 3 or 4 others, are part of the discipline of what it takes to be part of this foreteller circle. And the weaver is just kind of looking over everything and going to grab the answer for the question, okay? So the Handara is what the discipline is called, Handara, and it is described as like practicing presence, practicing silence, and the presence. Well, the presence of what? The presence of being itself. So these people are somewhat what we might see as monks and beings that just practice the presence of God in everything, like just within themselves, within their immediate surroundings, and everything that they see, touch, have interaction in, whatever. It is an amazing thing, and this little passage is page 65 is when it starts, and it goes till maybe 69 or 70, and this is a very intense scene where this circle is asked by Genley, will Karhide be part of the ecumen 5 years from now? So he asks them a yes or no, and a yes or no question. So there's no kind of way to misinterpret or to skirt the answer. There's just a plain a yes or a no answer to that. And what I think Ursula K. LeGuin is doing with that is showing that, for any kind of depth of knowledge, wisdom. These people are not thinking through it. They don't even know what the ecumen is. These foretellers that Genry goes to, they don't even know who he is. They know that he's an envoy from another planet, but they don't know anything about any other planets or what the collective of planets and humanity is like or anything like that. They're just doing what they do. And so they get this answer, and the wisdom, the knowledge of what the answer is just comes through from this kind of place where it is complete chaos. There is sexual tension off the charts, and there is just a time breaking down, and space as well, kind of breaking down within the circle. And the Weaver is a kind of a conduit for all of this that keeps it all together by practicing presence in the midst of that circle, and gets the answer, and the answer turns out to be yes. So I think that it's very perceptive and cool what Ursula K. Le Guin does with that to explore an idea of how reality is set up. That you don't know anything unless you're taking all of human experience into account. You can't accept some and disregard other in trying to gain understanding of the whole. The whole is made up of all the parts. A reductionist way of looking at things is never going to lead you to a full understanding, period. So that was really cool. Now, another thing that I wanted to say that's really not plain on the face of this novel, but I think one thing that is borne out very well is Genry is on this planet alone. He is very weak. He can't do anything. He can't affect any kind of change. Most people that he tells that are even in political positions of power within business or anything like that, they don't even believe him that he's from another planet and things like this. How unbelievable is it anyways, right? And so everybody has their own motives. Everybody is suspicious of why somebody else might want them to believe something as outlandish as this person came from another planet and that kind of thing. And it's very, very hard for Genry to even get people to accept that he is from another planet and that he is trying to establish communication between this planet and another. And the last part of this book is a huge odyssey. And I don't want to give any of it away if you haven't read it, so I'm not going to do any spoilers in this, but I will talk about it freely in the way that I think that what Ursula K. Le Guin does very, very well is show that true communication, that the ecumen really knows what they're doing. They really know what they're doing, because Genry is not bad at his job. Genry is somebody who has been trained for this kind of thing. But how well can you train to meet a race of beings, human beings, but different human beings that are on a completely different planet? How well can you train for that type of interaction and meeting? It has to happen organically. It has to happen just on a situational basis. So Genry is put into this situation where he might die, and others might die on their way to establishing that this kind of communication and what they're asking of to kind of come into the fold of a collective humanity, that it is completely benevolent, and there is no fighting. There is no war that is being. There's no ulterior motive, is what I mean to say, because he almost fails over and over and over, and only by establishing a true and deep connection with the Karhiders, with these people of this planet, only by establishing the most depth of a true connection with them is he successful. And she shows that very well. It's heartbreaking, but also shows just how much it takes to really establish understanding and friendship between people that may be very, very different. You have to be vulnerable, you have to open up, and you have to be willing to be hurt. You have to be willing and give yourself over to what may be painful. And Genry goes through a lot in this and establishes a connection with Karhide that will never be broken. That's what it is. Ultimately, it is a connection that will never be severed. And so in that, he is a success, and there is no other way to effectively do it. So it's a great book. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about my take of it. If you have read it, and if not, read it, and then let me know. Catch you on the next one, BookTube. Bye-bye.